Choo choo! All aboard the Not My Scene train.
Where are you going, sir?
To the train community. Jump in.
Welcome to the Not My Scene podcast, the podcast where we explore different scenes, communities, subcultures, and corners of the internet and tell you what we find. I'm Yarden.
And I'm Kaya.
We release episodes every other Tuesday, so please go ahead and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Give us a rate and share with your friends if you liked what you heard.
Woohoo! If you haven't subscribed by now, subscribe now. And a reminder, we're going to be doing our Scenester Seaster segment at the end of this episode. So tune in at the end of the show or stay tuned in for some Scenester Seaster submissions from our Wikipedia episode and our Homesteaders and Tradwife episode. So what's been your scene lately, Den?
So my scene lately has been preparing for my Aerial Silks showcase.
Oh my God.
I get to do my first showcase on Saturday. So I'm very nervous, but
that is so exciting.
Yeah.
Do you have a song for your showcase?
Yeah, it's not in silence like the contact improv before ecstatic dance. That would be so awkward.
You just the sound of like your body slipping down the silks.
Yeah, we were actually, we have like a little drop at the end, and there's not really like a good dramatic part in the song to drop, and the song ends kind of abruptly, so we were thinking about dropping when the song ends, but then we'd have to descend in silence, so that would be kind of awkward.
I think you should scream when you drop, like make your own climactic.
Honestly, yeah, that would be good. That would be artsy.
Wait, so what do you mean by like descend? So you make the drop, but then you have
the
to
drop
descend
isn't
further?
that dramatic.
It's not all the way down.
No.
How big of a drop are we talking?
I don't know, a couple feet.
That's cool. That's big.
Yeah,
it's a big drop.
First drop. But it is funny to be like an adult, and it's like so reminding me of being a kid, and it's like, yeah, like my friends and family, like, come watch me do this thing I've been learning.
Totally. Wait, is it solo?
No. I mean, some people are doing solos, but I'm doing one with 2 other people.
Fun. So, well, I can't wait to hear about how it goes.
Yeah. What's your scene been lately?
Well, I was in Ireland for a week last week. Yeah, I was. And it was really fun. Shout out Ireland. Ireland is my scene. It was so fun being there. Yeah. I feel like it was funny because like everywhere we went was just so full of people from Boston. Like in one sense we were in Ireland, but in another sense we were in Boston.
I think it's because it was around St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, I think so. And like, yeah, it was thick with Irish Americans from Boston. And 2 funny things happened. The first that I wanted to talk to you about is, are you familiar with spice bags?
Well, you asked me if I knew what it was. I didn't. And then, like, immediately when I went on TikTok, I saw a video of a spice bag.
Wait, really? Were you looking for it, or you just saw it?
No, I just saw it.
Whoa.
Classic. Yeah.
Okay, well, I had been really looking forward to trying a spice bag. If people don't know, you should look up these videos. There was this guy who would do like spice bag reviews. I am going to do an Irish accent. Sorry in advance for our fans from Boston, but it like always sounds like he'll be like, love a spice bag on a Saturday night. Okay, that was so bad. I'm just going to try it again. Or do you want to try it?
Oh, love a spice bag on a Saturday night.
Okay, that was good, but it's not what he sounds like. That was just
okay.
like
That was like a
generic
different
Irish
type of guy.
That was a different type of Irish guy.
Yeah.
He's like, love a spice bag on a Saturday night, and then it's like,
okay. No, I get it's like sharper.
It was very sharp. And then every Saturday he would go to like a different place that sells a spice bag, and it's basically like fried rice, but oftentimes the rice would have, as he likes to say, no tint to it. So it would just be like white rice with like scrambled eggs and maybe like carrot in it or something. And then it's like the spice bag itself, you like dump on the rice, or he does, and it's like fries and then like fried chicken. And that's mainly it. But I got a veggie spice bag. Okay. Then you get with it sweet and sour sauce. So I tried it, and it was like so good at first. Like the first bite was so delicious. I was shocked because I'm not a huge like French fry person. The spice bag was the saltiest thing I have ever tried in my entire life. Like it was like burning my lips. It was so salty and so delicious, but I literally could only have like 5 fries.
Was there any in the veggie one? Was there anything else?
Yeah, there were these like delicious, they were honestly so good, like fried balls filled with like, I think grated zucchini. Yeah, it was it was really good. And then you dunk it in the curry sauce and eat it with a fry. It was so good. But so salty. Like I can't believe all these people. It said it's the #1 ordered dish in Ireland, and it's so salty.
I wonder how long it's been popular.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah. Do we have any Irish listeners? If you are, let us know, and let us know about the spice bags.
And sorry about my accent.
I feel like I've seen a Scottish listener, but I haven't seen any Irish.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. We'll have to look at the stats. If you're a listener and you know an Irish person, tell them about the pod. We want to know about spice bags. Okay, the other thing I have to share from my trip was I think what can only be described as the worst husband in the world. I'm going to set the scene for you. We are out on this like beautiful Irish peninsula, and it's like a gorgeous spring day, like blue skies, green grass. There's like lambs running everywhere.
Picturesque.
So picturesque. I felt like I was like living in olden times, whatever, like being out there. And we go to this like historic stone fort ruins they're like a gazillion years old. And we're like walking down, and the sun is like glistening on the water. And this man and his wife, I presume, are walking towards us. And the wife walks by first, and she has a really nice like camera with her in her tourist era, and
like she's taking the photos.
She's taking the photos. She's very engaged. Oh, and that's an important part of the story. Like clearly photos are being taken. Like them being in this environment is being captured forever. And he follows, and he has a shirt on, and the shirt says,
well, I hope he has a shirt on.
The shirt says, I love jacking off. And it has a photo of a card with a jack on it and a photo of a card with a king on it.
I don't even get it. Like I would expect it would be like a jack and then something that would be like off. But it's jacking. Nope. Oh, jacking? Jacking.
Jack.
I love jacking.
King.
Right. But is it supposed to be like the cards read jacking? Or or is it like he's the Jack King? Like, I'm just trying to understand the meaning of the cards.
I think it's more like the cards are just like a way for him to be like, no, like it's the cards. And it has like
horrible.
Yeah. And I'm sorry. Imagine your partner is packing his little carry-on for Ireland. You're going on this trip together. You can't wait to take photos at the historic stone fort. And he's like, babe, I'm going to wear the I love jacking off shirt today.
Was she wearing a cute outfit?
She was just wearing like a hers said
she was also
licking the bean, and it had a little bean.
But we respect because she's a woman.
No, she just had like a black t-shirt on, sadly.
Were they like, how old were they, do you think?
What is like the funniest shirt that she could be wearing to accompany the I love jacking off?
I'm trying to think of a way that it could like work.
Use
like
cards.
she has a shirt that says my name is King.
No. You should say my name is Off.
Oh yeah. Wait, I love jacking off. Yeah. Or her shirt just says my name is jacking off. And it's just that I love my wife shirt.
Oh my god. I so wish that was the case. That would be such a beautiful ending to the story.
You'd be like, actually, best husband ever.
Yeah, well, that was my takeaway from Ireland. Had to share.
Wow. It sounds like a great trip. No, I think it does.
It was awesome. All right, well, what are we discussing today?
So today we're talking about trains.
Woo!
This is kind of a vast community that encompasses many sub-communities within it.
Yes.
And we started out, we wanted to talk about train enthusiasts, foamers. There's a lot of people that are just really into trains. Trains are cool. And then I went down a rabbit hole about train hoppers. So we're going to talk about both sets of people, more general train enthusiasts, and then, the train hopper community.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll start by doing a bit of an overview. There's just like so many different names for the train enthusiast community. So I thought we could spend a little bit of time up front talking about just getting that out of the way, and then we can turn to train hoppers. Okay. So I hadn't heard of the name foamer before I started looking into this, but that is one of the names that we're working with here. So this is a list that I saw online of the different members of the like train community ranked in order of like casual fandom to extreme fandom, but I don't think it's entirely accurate after I like started looking into these different names. So first we've got rail fans. Rail fan, to me, my understanding is it's
Wait, this is starting most casual?
Most casual.
Okay.
Yeah. And also in some ways, I think it's like the kindest name. Rail
like
fan,
least derogatory.
Least derogatory, yeah. Rail fan, not derogatory, is a name that the community describes itself with a lot. And it's like another name for train enthusiasts, just someone who's like a fan of the train community. Then we have train enthusiasts. Same-ish idea.
Do they ever go by thusies?
Dude. Thusies versus train enthusiasts. Like, who's winning in a fight?
I'll have to hear more about the train enthusiasts first.
Okay.
But they both love the tracks.
So, whoa. Actually, that's so interesting.
Is a roller coaster a train?
Is a hot dog a sandwich? I feel like a roller coaster is a train. It's just like a train that's not constrained by typical notions of
it goes in like
flat
more dimensions.
Yeah. Leaving
and
the x-axis.
Different purpose. Yeah.
Well, I feel like some foamers would say the whole purpose of trains is to have fun.
Thrill. But definitely train hoppers are in it for the thrill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay.
So then we have foamers. This is foamers derogatory. And it's interesting. It seems to me like the term foamer is mostly used by people who work in railroading, but who do not consider themselves to be train enthusiasts. So if it's not clear to you, foamers, the way they got the name is because when they see a train, they foam at the mouth. It's not a very
I had no idea. I was like wondering where that name came from.
Which is funny too, because it's like that could apply to so many things. Like
some people showing up to ecstatic dance were basically foaming.
Me showing up to your aerial exhibition, I would be foaming. So that's what foaming means. And we can talk a little bit about the distinction, but basically my understanding is that rail fans and enthusiasts are generally well received by railroaders, like people who work on trains, but foamers, derogatory, are not well liked in the train community because it's like associated with kind of reckless behavior in the pursuit of train spotting. So like foamers are known for doing things like trespassing or like getting really close to tracks to like get a really good shot, just like generally doing crazy things. Like I saw someone being like, if you're a foamer, please stop doing flash photography. Like it messes with me trying to drive my train. So God. Like train drivers don't like, or conductors don't like foamers in general. That's my understanding. So those are the terms that we're working with here. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit more about foamers specifically. Yes. I found an interesting story about like when foaming goes too far.
Okay.
There was a New York Times article about this pretty recently. This was in July 2024. And it's a crime thriller. So, teenager accused of derailing a train and posting the crash video online. So, the 17-year-old was charged with intentionally causing a freight train derailment in Nebraska. And then he like recorded it and posted it on his like Train Fanatic YouTube account.
Oh my God. Just because he wanted to see like a train crash.
Or like get views. Yeah. Or like just like see what would happen. Yeah. So apparently he was charged with felony counts of criminal mischief, which I didn't know that was a thing you could be charged with, but it's kind of a little fun.
Cute.
Kind of cute. Little trickster. So the teenager was described by investigators as a train enthusiast or, quote, rail fan. And this train was carrying coal when it derailed, kind of like in the middle of nowhere. Like it was like 20 miles southeast of Lincoln, Nebraska. And the teenager approached an investigator at the crash scene and asked what had happened. And the investigator said that the cause of the derailment had not been identified, to which the teenager replied, "Obviously, a switch was flipped the wrong way." Which when I was reading this, at this point, I was like, okay, maybe he was just saying, like, obviously this is how it had to happen.
Yeah.
Like, maybe that's not evidence that he, like,
obviously
switched the flip.
A genius switched the flips. Masterfully.
The investigator also asked the teenager about railroad switches, and the teenager was, in fact, able to describe how they work. So that was, like, count against him. And then the video of the derailment was posted on YouTube 2 days after the crash on an account that they believed to be associated with the teenager. The title was "Loaded BNSF Arbor Collides and Derails in Bennett, Nebraska!" Exclamation point. The 5-minute video begins with dramatic music and shows a train approaching while the horn sounds before the screen fades to black. The video shows the train before, during, and after the derailment, while an unnamed narrator describes what happened. And then there's a quote from the narrator of the video. "The aftermath of the collision raises the questions of how such a routine journey can turn perilous and what lessons can be gleaned from such a brush with disaster." So he was right. The train went into an emergency stop, but the train could not stop before it went through the flipped switch location, which caused it to derail. The switch was supposed to be locked with a padlock to prevent it from being moved out of position, but the padlock was missing. The teenager approached the investigator at the scene of the crash, and when they were talking, he said he recorded the derailment on his phone. So, like...
He's like just recording every part of his crime. Okay.
He's a vlogger above everything else. But what really got him was that a few days later, they reviewed security footage from the area and they saw a person walking toward the railroad switch and then out of view of the camera. And then a few minutes later, the person can be seen running back to a car, and a security video taken from a different angle showed the same car with the teenager parking the car and setting up a tripod. So unfortunately, he definitely did flip the switch, or at the very least, he like walked out and was like, this switch is not flipped right, and then like set up his camera to film what would happen.
That's wow. They have a lot of security cameras out there in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, for real. These trains are precious assets of the U.S.
Did anyone like die? Like did the conductor?
No, it was fine. Okay. It just like kind of went like, ah, and then like slowed down and stopped.
Okay, but still, that's like a wet dream for a filmer.
Yeah, exactly.
Are train enthusiasts like primarily just interested in the mechanics, or like I know there's a big like community of people that are super into like train policy and I always like every few months I see that post going around that's like, this is what we could have had, and it's like a high speed rail map of that's the US.
Yes, that's something else. That's a different train community. NUMTOTs, new urbanist memes for transit-oriented teens. Okay. I feel like that's a whole nother thing.
That is.
And that's so interesting because, like, obviously that's not the only community of people, you know, advocating for, like, better public transit in the U.S., but it is an interesting thing because it's, like, this meme group that I was reading about this earlier, and, like, they officially endorsed Bernie Sanders in the 2020 election. Like they have some political, like it's kind of interesting.
He got the NUMs, or what are they called?
He got the NUMTOTs.
NUMTOTs, new.
He got the NUMs. Yeah, but I think that's kind of a different thing. Like my understanding of rail fans and train enthusiasts is it's like specifically about, it's not so much what the train can provide to society, it's more like what the train can either individually do, like, oh, this train like goes this fast or can like move in this way, or you like take advantage of this technology, or it's like specifically like it almost feels like Pokemon-esque to me, like it's like you want to like see the different models and like find like rare trains. And then there's something like very nostalgic about it, like capturing trains before they're retired, like riding trains before they're retired.
But I'm sure like they would still benefit from a better passenger rail system because I'm sure they would like love to ride.
For sure.
Trains.
I feel like rail fans are NUMTOTs, but NUMTOTs are not necessarily rail fans. Good to clear that up. Yeah. And then we have train hoppers.
Yeah. And I was going to do like a whole glossary quiz or game to go over some of the train hopping terms. All right. So you are going to guess what these mean.
Okay.
Like, bowl.
Bowl or bowl?
It's my Pacific Northwest accent.
Egg?
B-U-L-L. Bowl.
Immediately I have like no idea. But okay. I mean, is it the train? Like, is it like you got to catch the bull by the horns? So if you're a train hopper, you're like trying to get on the bull.
That would be good. No. It's railroad police / security.
Oh, it's like pig.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a nicer term.
It sounds cool.
It does sound cool. It's like more cartoonish, like a big bull. Walking down. Okay. But that's like bull derogatory, right?
Yeah. I can only assume. This one is big. I heard this one a lot. Catching out.
Catching out is when you're trying to get on a train, but you can't sneak in like when the train is in the station. So you have to like jump on it while it's moving by catching the outside of it.
You're actually really close because there is a term for that, and that's called catch on the fly. I was going to ask you about that next.
Okay, cool.
But catching out is more general. It's just when you're train hopping, like jumping on the train to leave, and it can be stopped. So you're like, oh, this is a good place to catch out.
Okay, cool. That's like right on, like gotta ride, gotta blast, catching out. Okay, cool.
Crew change.
I would assume that's like when the people who are working on the train change their shift, and so it's like a moment of weakness that the train hoppers can take advantage of and steal onto the train.
Yes.
Cool.
Wow.
It's very, the espionage is,
I know,
raising my hackles.
Okay, and some of these are going to be more about the culture surrounding. So this one is gutter punk.
Sounds really bad. It's like steampunk but shit. Steampunk but make it pee pee poo poo. Gutter punk is like, I mean, it's like sleeping in gutters. Like, no, let me think about this. Gutter.
You're not really gonna derive it by thinking about the parts of the word.
Okay, cool. That's helpful. Gutter punk is when you just like have gauges and you like wear a denim jacket and you ride the rails, bitch.
I mean, pretty much. It's I'm taking all of this from the r/vagabond subreddit.
Okay.
But this is a hybrid of punks and anarchists that ride trains as a symbol of rebellion from modern culture.
Dude, let's go. So for the listeners, the Vagabonds subreddit is focused on train hopping. Is that right? Like, what is it?
So the Vagabonds subreddit, the description says it's for any travelers that are houseless. And a lot of it is train hopping. That's where I focused. But it can also include things like hitchhiking and people that will do just like walking, like people that will like walk across the country.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Helpful.
This one is crusties.
Okay. It's when you've been like riding one train for a really long time. So you kind of go like barnacle mode. And you're like a crusty.
Like they'd have to like pick you off from the train.
Yeah. Like you've kind of like glommed on because you've been there so long.
I like that.
Or police.
Or it's the cops. So crusties are a more extreme form of gutter punk, intentionally not using hygiene. So this was kind of what you were going to say for gutter punk. And usually identified by tons of tattoos, piercing, dirty clothes, and the smell of a dog's ass.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to do one more of these like subculture terms within.
Okay.
Because
so people like self-identify as crusties or gutter punks?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, like
Words of affirmation.
I joined a Discord for train hopping.
Okay.
To just, check it out. And people would like self-identify, like it would be like use this emoji to identify with this subculture, and people would like identify as these different things.
So crusties is just like gutter punk but more, right?
But like yeah. And then
I'm trying to think of like another example of like, oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, the next one is funny because this next one is called Dirty Kids.
Okay, is that like a gutter punk but little? Like it's like you're still working your way up because you're like a little kid, but you're dirty still.
Oh, that would be good. Like older gutter punk people are like, oh, those are just some dirty kids.
Like it's like the life cycle of this particular subculture would be like when you're new, like when you're a novice, you're a dirty kid, and then
there
when
is
you're like
a term
an intermediate.
for that.
Okay, what's that?
Well, first let me tell you what Dirty Kids is, because Dirty Kids is a like this is confusing. It's a laid back form of crusties or gutter punk. So I'm trying to understand what the continuum is, and I guess it goes dirty punk, crusties.
No, wait.
No, dirty punk,
gutter punk.
No, but dirty kids is a laid back form of crusties or gutter punks. So would it be dirty kid, gutter punk, crusty? But it continues to say, no sense of hygiene, traveling by any means necessary with no specific goals or jobs attached to their destination.
I feel like it's like dirty kid is like on a different plane altogether.
Like they don't mean laid back is less extreme. It's just like laid back
type of personality. Yeah. Like it's like you could be super extreme in your lack of hygiene, but you're like a chill guy.
And the person I interviewed, I'll get to that, but he identified as a dirty kid.
Cool.
Okay. The rail riders that are inexperienced with hopping freight trains are called greenhorns.
Oh, okay. So it's like greenhorn, gutter punk. Crusty.
Well, no. Like that's not on the same continuum. Like the crusty, dirty kid stuff is more about like lifestyle and aesthetic. And greenhorn is like purely about just how experienced are you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Because your horns are still green. They haven't turned brown or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Hop out.
It's how you say goodbye. I'm going to hop out. And then you jump off the train. See you in another life, boys. And then you jump off the train.
It's the place in town where it's easy to catch a train or get off a train. Oh. So it's like, it's a place. So you'd be like, oh yeah, that's a hop out.
Okay, this is interesting. I feel like a lot of this vocabulary is like pretty non-intuitive. And I wonder if partly it's because it seems like the train hopping or rail riding community is like very nervous about like law enforcement and the feds. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So maybe it's like an intentionally like obscure way of describing some of these things.
Well, Kaya knows I posted on the subreddit asking if people would be interested in doing an interview for the podcast, and I said it could be anonymous, and I got all of these people calling me a fed.
They were like, sure, fed. Sure, you dirty
fed boy.
It's really funny.
It was funny.
Nope, just an amateur podcaster. Any more vocab?
Yeah, highballin'.
I think that's when you sneak into like first class. Or no. I think it's when you smoke weed on a train. Or I think it's when you let your ball out on the train.
And you're like standing on top of the cargo like box.
The wind whistling.
The ball's up high.
Yeah.
That's awesome. No. So train is given full clearance and is allowed to maintain or increase speed through a high traffic area. A train given priority clearance to depart yard with high speed. Yeah.
Foamers probably love when a train is highballing.
Okay. Suicide car.
Okay. I think the suicide car is the conductor's car. It's like the car at the front of the train, because then like if the train derails or if it gets in like a collision, it's like that's the car you're going down in, as opposed to the caboose. Like it's like head on. So to like be on that car as a rail rider would be to like be putting yourself in harm's way, perhaps.
Okay. No, it's definitely referring to a dangerous place to be.
Okay.
It's a train car that has no solid floor or safe place to sit/stand.
Whoa. No solid floor?
Yeah. So imagine like there's just like beams or like a couple like cross beams or something, and you're just kind of like holding on.
Mm-hmm. It's like beams to support cargo, but there's like no cargo on the train.
Yeah.
So it's just like empty beams. Yeah, that's scary. Yeah. It's very Mad Max.
I know. All right. Good job.
Was it? This was hard. I learned. Yeah. I feel like the terms were really inaccessible to my plebe vocabulary.
Yeah.
Probably intentionally so.
Yeah. Intentional gatekeeping. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of intentional gatekeeping in the train hopping community. Like, in these subreddits, you're actually not supposed to give instructions about how to do this.
That's good, I feel like, because it's like such a dangerous thing that it's like we shouldn't be telling people how to do it, probably.
Yeah.
Or is it more of an attitude like, if you want to do it, you have to be hard enough to figure it out? Like,
there's some of that for sure. There's definitely some of that. But I think the intention is because they don't want to be like, no one wants to be responsible for someone going and trying this out and something really bad happening. And also, there seems to be a sentiment generally that a lot of train hoppers feel like too many people are doing it, and
the trains are loaded, they're full.
They're weighed down, they're scraping their bottoms against the tracks.
It's like commuting. Okay, can we talk at like a high level for a second about like, I didn't really realize that this was something that people were like doing for sport still, like, yeah, and maybe it's not always for sport, but like, did you get a sense as you were looking into the train hopping community, like
definitely some people, like, I'm sure there's people that started doing it because of circumstance, like wanting to get out of a certain place and not having money, but it's heavily romanticized. Like, I started seeing like so many TikToks of like people on trains, like cargo trains that they'd hopped, like seeing
like
the
on the
beautiful
top.
Oh, I saw some crazy videos. Like, this one guy was literally jumping on the top of like a cargo box while a train was moving. Was like,
so what, he's like flying back, or was he staying in the same place?
It was hard to
Physics
tell.
Question.
I mean, he definitely would end up in a different place.
That's what I would think. Unless he's like jumping, if he's launching himself forward in the jump.
It was scary. So definitely people are having thrills. But people talk about how they get to see parts of the country that are untouched. Like, that's a huge draw because you're not on these highways. You're like you're going through places that are mostly nature. And there's definitely people that like have chosen to leave traditional jobs and traditional housing to do this. And I saw some threads on the Vagabond subreddit where people, like, there was this one where someone asked, is there a name yet for those of us who have become interested in this lifestyle and are watching from our computers in our cubicles thinking, wow, I'd like to do that someday? And all the comments are like, what's keeping you from doing it? And someone said, seriously, people think that it's this lifelong commitment. I worked in an office 40 hours a week and would hop trains on the weekends. They can only go 8 to 10 hours in any direction before stopping to change crews. If you have the financial means, it's totally reasonable to ride a district, get off an Amtrak/Greyhound back. Which is so interesting to think about someone like part-time train hopping on the weekend.
Yeah, and like you can only go so far on your train that you can make it back to your 9 to 5 by Monday mornings.
From other content I've seen, it does seem so unpredictable, so it seems like that would be pretty hard to plan for. I guess you just have to take a sick day on Monday if you don't make it back in time.
Imagine finding out your coworker was a train hopper. That would just be like so.
I know. Okay, but this is even crazier. There was this NPR article that came out recently, and they're talking about how this has been getting bigger. So apparently the Federal Railroad Administration, they monitor trespassing incidents, injuries, and deaths related to tracks and trains, and numbers for all three of these categories have been steadily climbing since 2014. But they interviewed this guy in the article who is a software engineer and works remotely, which this is
what everyone crazy. Is afraid of. Like, this is why we have to go back to office, because you guys are train hopping on your remote jobs.
Literally. I'm like, what is it? Does his company know? Like, does he just use a virtual background?
Because he's on top of cargo trains. Does train hopping like can you be inside of a passenger car, or do you like does it also refer no, so it's not like the act like just sneaking
it's not like
train
sneaking onto an Amtrak. No.
Okay, wait, so this guy,
oh yeah, this guy Will, he's quoted, one of his quotes says, "There's something about it that feels almost like old-timey. I'm not really sure how many things like this exist anymore where you can just hop on something and go to another place. It's a little bit lawless in a way." Which, that's definitely the vibe I got from all the content I was seeing and part of the romance. Like, it feels so, like, of another time. Mm-hmm. And it's like a very old tradition. And people used to do this in the Great Depression and before, like people looking for work, like just traveling around looking for work. And now people often don't look for seasonal work. Some people still are doing that, but a lot of times they're just traveling around for the hell of it. But yeah, and like someone on the Vagabond subreddit said, "Here's a counter question. Before the idea was romanticized, how many hobos existed? And where was this idea romantically portrayed? Woody Guthrie and Pete Seeger, possibly? Probably long before them, ... Which, like, very much is, like, it's so, like, Americana, like, folk song.
Yeah, totally.
And, like, a lot of the people I saw would do, like, carry around banjos and instruments. So I definitely feel like that's part of the appeal.
Very boxcar children grown up.
Yeah. It feels like, like a real sense of adventure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, this tech worker is interesting. I feel like from all of the other like Vagabond content I was seeing, I'm like, I can't imagine this guy Will like going into the hobo camp, because a lot of them identify as hobos, and like will, like camp in the woods between catching out. But I just can't imagine like sitting around the campfire and like this guy just pulls out his laptop and starts coding.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Seems like it would be very hard to mesh these lifestyles.
It does. Also, the way that I like started going down this rabbit hole was because I started seeing all of these TikToks of people train hopping the iron ore train in Mauritania.
I saw one of these.
Have you seen those?
I just saw the one of that woman who's like, it's like POV. You did the most dangerous, like you hopped the most dangerous something. I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't have like a screenshot, but there's a bunch of them. And it's like people always are using like the Dune music.
Yeah. That honestly, like, okay, I get it. That's pretty hype.
Yeah. And a lot of people on like other train hopping videos will use the Dune music. But in these ones, it's a big tourist attraction. I mean, I don't know how big, but it's, I guess, the longest train in the world. And it goes through the desert in West Africa.
It's so Mad Max.
It's like extremely dusty. Mm-hmm. And so tourists like come to just like have the experience of riding it. And like, I guess they have like a beautiful night sky with like really clear view of the stars. And then they like see camels during the day. But
it's all train hopping, right? Like there's no like passenger tickets. It's a cargo. It's an iron ore train.
Yeah, so they're like lying on a pile of, I guess, iron ore. It's like dust, like black dust, and they're like, they have to wear like goggles.
So Mad Max.
Yeah. And, like, all of the comments are, like, you wouldn't do this if there weren't, like, you couldn't film it for TikTok, which I'm sure some people would, but I do agree with that for, like, people that are doing this as travel influencers. I'm like, you got one really cool shot, but this sounds like kind of 12 hours of hell.
That's a long time to be lying on
and, like,
iron.
It's super loud. It gets really cold at night. You just have to like pee in a corner of the ore.
It smells like really bad. So this is something that like travel influencers that aren't normally train hopping are doing. Like that's so crazy. So they're all like going there and committing this crime for the content, and we're all just letting it happen.
Well, what are you gonna do? Call the feds of Mauritania?
What are you gonna do, Fed boy? Yeah, the TikTok I saw of the one lady, her hair was like blowing in the wind and she had like a bandana over her mouth and she was like POV and like she looked really like, I ate this shit. And she had like boots on like the boots you have.
She was wearing a Coachella fit.
Yeah, basically. Coachella fit inspo this year is train hopping the iron ore train in where is it? Mauritania?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
We should do it for the pod. Us laying in the iron ore, having to pee. I wouldn't move to pee. I'd be too scared. I would just pee where I lay.
And I wouldn't get the cool POV video because I'd be too scared to stand.
Definitely. No, absolutely not.
I would be like on all fours, would be like the highest I would get.
On all fours is crazy. On all fours. On all
just like eating
on all fours. Peeing in the ore. On all fours with a bandana over your mouth. This is so humiliating. Oh my god. Oh, that's really a funny image.
Apparently, that actually kind of relates to something that people were saying in the train hopping subreddit, which is like you're supposed to always have 3 points of contact when you're train hopping. So.
Oh god, immediately like I feel like I wouldn't want to know that because now that I know that I could never do it in a cool way. I would always be like so preoccupied with making sure that I had the third limb down on the train. Wide eyes on all fours on the iron ore
well
train.
You could do kind of a cool pose maybe with like a
triangle.
Squat and one hand down,
Spider-Man, and one hand straight up to show that you only need 3 points of contact.
Yeah.
Did you have a sense of like, are there particular parts of the country that train hopping is like more popular in? Because something I saw in the like rail fan subreddit was people talking about how there's like differences between countries because like, you know, people who are like rail fans in Europe have like an abundance of trains to be enthusing over. Like, oh, I want to see this like train that's like about to be retired, so I'm gonna like make sure to see the specific one, and there's like trains going by all the time, and I won't go to a train spot unless there's gonna be like a high volume of trains there that day. Whereas in the US it's like, can I even see the train? Like that's part of like
are train enthusiasts and foamers mostly interested in like passenger trains, or
I think it's also both. Interested in so freight? That's also like a geographic difference. So in the US I think train enthusiasts sometimes are more interested. I saw a lot of like freight based content, whereas in Europe it's more like
we don't have very many passenger trains.
Yeah, but some of the passenger train oriented stuff was so sweet. Like I saw a lot of rail enthusiasts talking about like the liveries of the trains, like the way that they're like painted, you know, and like
they're called liveries.
Yeah, like I think that they use that term also, like liveries, and it would also be like on a car or like a person, like a uniform would be like a livery too,
customizing their avatar.
Exactly. Yeah. And so like they'll look for trains with like rare liveries that were like only painted a certain way for a certain year, or like looking for, the big thing I saw was like trying to capture trains before they're retired.
Oh, cool.
But I'm sorry. So yeah, geographic location.
I mainly was looking at like US content, and I saw some Canada as well, which was like very much like we're hopping freight trains that are going through like untouched land. But I mean, I know people do it in other places too. Like I was chatting with someone who was doing it in Europe, and we were potentially going to do an interview, but haven't heard back.
Do you want to tell me a bit about your interview with...
Oh, yeah. With Casey. He said I could share his name. Right. And this was pretty tragic because I recorded the interview and then realized that it didn't successfully record. So I'm just going to have to tell you about it.
Damn, we're just going to have to take your word for it.
Yeah. So I asked him what kind of communities, lifestyle labels did he identify with, because there are so many within this community. And he said he did identify as a dirty kid. And he specifically said a first-generation dirty kid, which I guess that is differentiating him against like younger train hoppers or younger dirty kids.
Oh, okay. I thought I interpreted that as like his parents were also dirty kids, but you mean like he's like OG. He's OG dirty kid. Okay,
yes. He started in the early 2000s. He started in 2006. He's been doing it since then, so almost 20 years.
So dirty kid is not like a very old subculture.
No. Although like it seems like that's just when they started calling it that. Like, it doesn't seem like so unique compared. Like, there were people before that.
Right. People were living a laid back lifestyle in the rail hopping community before. Yeah.
Yeah. And I asked what made him start. He said it was a heartbreak that triggered him to start this lifestyle. So a friend introduced him and he went on the road and hasn't really looked back since.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a crazy origin story.
Actually, he didn't start with train hopping. I think he started more like hitchhiking and things like that. But about a year and a half in, he started train hopping.
Okay.
And he also...
Gateway drug, hitchhiking.
Yeah. I will say, like, I did ask him if there are people of all genders that do this, and he says you will see women, but I think it does lean heavily male, which I can only imagine it would be a lot more dangerous as a woman, just to like, I mean, especially when you're hitchhiking or something like that, you have to trust strangers. And I mainly saw, like, it was mainly white men that I've seen doing this. I can imagine it would also be more dangerous if you're a minority.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
But I asked if he had any crazy stories. He did tell me, he was like, oh yeah, I mean, I have a million. But he told a story about this guy. So you're really not, like, for obvious reasons, you're not supposed to be, like, inebriated when you train hop. You're supposed to wait until after you get on to start drinking or smoking or whatever,
and then probably before you get off too, but especially getting on.
But he said there was this guy who was already like really drunk and he was trying to hop on a moving train. I didn't get to catch all the details here, but he basically was like holding on and his hand, like the door slammed on his fingers.
Oh no.
And for a moment he was like flying, like his body was like horizontal.
Wait, was Casey there?
Yeah, Casey I think was on the train at this point.
Okay.
And then
I shouldn't be laughing, I'm just so nervous.
Well, okay, I will say the guy lived, so it's not
okay, good. So
tragedy. But apparently he can't do math that well anymore. That's how Casey put it. His thing, then they heard like a thud or whatever. The guy like flew out. His fingers were on the floor of the car.
Oh my god! So his fingers got in the car, and the rest of him stayed out.
Yep.
And they were in the car, like they were like sitting.
They're in the car with his fingers. So it's definitely very dangerous.
And what happened to him? He just like flopped on the ground outside.
Yeah, they didn't. I mean, he said he just ran into him like years later, so it's not like he like knew what happened immediately after.
Dude, that is a crazy story. That's like crazier than anything that's ever happened to me in my whole life.
I mean, yeah, we live a very different lifestyle.
Yeah, we're not riding the rails. That dude, party of two, me and his fingers.
But I also asked him if he would ever choose to go back to a more traditional life. And he did say he wants to settle eventually or maybe get an RV because as you get older, as you can imagine, it's hard to keep living this lifestyle.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it would, I understand like on the one hand, it would be very exciting and like a source of adrenaline to always be like, okay, I'm going to like do this. Like you would have a lot of anticipation, but it also seems like really stressful to be like every time I want to go somewhere I have to like put myself at risk in this way. Like,
yeah, and they're going somewhere like every day. Like he said he is usually moving places every day.
Wow. I wonder if it's ever like, I don't really feel like hopping today, I'll just buy a ticket.
Yeah. Oh, well, like I don't think you're getting this the picture because like they're not like they're often not in a place where you could buy a ticket. Like it's not like there's also a passenger train like that has a like
right. Okay, no, that's a good clarification. Like they're in the freight lines.
Yeah. And I asked him also if there's anything that he would like people outside the community to better understand. And he said that we're nice and just come up and talk to us if you see people that look like they're vagabonds, you know? And also that it's dangerous, but it's amazing. And you get to see untouched parts of the country.
That does really pique my interest. Like, what do you mean? It's like things people have never seen before. Like, I want to see that stuff.
Or like that there's no other way to access it.
Yeah, like you can only like hike or backpack in somewhere like so far.
Yeah. And I also wanted to talk about Stobe the hobo, who's like the most famous. Have you heard of him?
I have, yeah.
But before we started the research or just
no,
since?
not before we started the research. Had you before or
no? But he is the most famous train hopping hobo on the
legend.
Internet. And he did die in 2017 in a train hopping accident at the age of 33.
Wow, that's young.
Stobe. Yeah.
Rest in peace, Stobe. That's so sad.
But prior to that, he would make videos on YouTube. I watched his most recent one. I highly, highly recommend. Like, after watching it, I was like, I can't believe I was ever entertained by like regular vlogs of people doing regular things. Like, this is just so interesting and so beautiful. Like, he's extremely artful in the way that he would make videos, and he played his own piano tracks that he would use for music. And so the one I watched, he was basically stuck in Wyoming for a couple days waiting for a train that he could catch out on. And he was just like in the middle of nowhere in this like rural part of Wyoming. He had like his supplies for a few days. Like he would just go and hike around during the day. But he was like really trying to catch a train also. So you were really rooting for him to catch it. And like there was one that would come and he'd be like, it's slowing down. Like, I think if it stays at this speed, I could catch it. But you're like, come on, like, get it. And he gets on and it's so awesome. But definitely, like, I really recommend. But yeah, really enjoyed watching that.
Cool. I'll have to check it out. R.I.P. Stobe. Well, do you think that you could be where do you think you fall in the like wide spectrum of train? I mean, what part of train enthusiasm could be your scene?
I'm really not. I'll say it. I think this is not my scene. I found it super interesting to look at, but I definitely do not have the balls to be a high ballin' train hopper. And I am not like so interested in the mechanics of the train, or like finding different rare trains in the sense that like a rail fan would be. I think I am interested in looking into the NUMTOTs, but that's like a whole separate thing. What about you?
Similarly, I'm like not super interested in the like rail fan part of this. Like, I feel like I just get too distracted. Like, when I was watching rail enthusiast videos, I don't know. I don't like really have the mind to be like excited by that kind of like collectible thing. But
yeah,
I feel like I could never be like a rail rider, but I do think I would like try it once in a very specific circumstance. If you're the feds, stop listening. But, like,
this is to prove I can imagine,
yeah, I could imagine like if I was like backpacking or like doing something like that, and then I saw like a stopped train, and I was with
and it would happen to be going like where you needed to go.
So that's the thing. I feel like I would not. I don't think I could ever be comfortable with the lack of knowing. That would give me a lot of anxiety. But if I knew for sure, if the train said on it like this cargo train is going to where I needed to go, and
or you're like with someone who like really knows, like, oh, I did this like hike before, and I like hopped the
and you
train
can take
back.
This train. Yeah, I would do it. I think it sounds fun.
That would be fun. Yeah, I agree.
If only to ride with the fingers. But yeah, I think this is pretty outside of my usual interests. So not my scene, but fun to discuss. And I'm definitely I would consider myself a NUMTOT. I'm in the Facebook page.
Oh, nice. Add me. Mm-hmm. Invite me.
I'll invite you.
All right.
All right, let's read some Scenester submission.
Cool. So we got an email from Rachel about our Wikipedia episode. She said, "Loving the podcast. I just wanted to chime in with a funny/interesting Wikipedia editing battle story that I thought may fit the podcast. There's more info here," she linked the article, but essentially back in 2015, there was some drama over the caption on a seemingly harmless picture of a random British economist. The drama was that the economist's name is Guy Standing, and the caption was a picture of him sitting down, so it said, "Guy Standing Sitting," and thus kicked off the back and forth of whether or not that was an acceptable descriptive edit or if it qualifies as vandalism and joking around. The edit history.
That's so funny because it's like it's true. Like it's not vandalism. It's just a funny true thing. Sorry, go on.
The edit history around 2015 is actually really funny, including gems like "piss off, mate. There's nothing wrong with it." As of today, the same picture of him sitting is still on the page, but unfortunately, it no longer clarifies that he's sitting.
We've lost.
This is like actually like a genuine like. Could be an innocent troll, like as opposed to the titty guy where it's like, okay, come on, dude. Like it's like, well, this is an good, accurate clean description.
Fun. Yeah, no, I'm totally like, pro.
I can see how there'd be an argument against because it's not like you need to specify that he's sitting. Like probably in other pictures of other people, they don't say like, you know, like Miley Cyrus sitting.
Yeah, so they want to like
have consistency.
Right, and be like taken seriously, but it's good, clean fun.
Let's have a little fun.
It's an internet-based encyclopedia. Let's let the people make a joke. Okay, love it. Thank you, Rachel. All right, and then Ian wrote in about homesteaders and tradwives and says, "Regarding the overlap between tradwives and homesteaders, I think the key difference is partnership versus submission to, in the cishet space, the husband. Like, you can do traditional gender roles as long as it's a partnership, kind of like your guest speaker. But if you're like, I do this because my husband expects me to, that's trad wife. Also, you discuss this, but how many things relate to dairy and beef is very cow coded.
Yeah.
I agree. I think he hit the nail on the head.
I think it's a good distinction.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's all about like the reasons why you're doing these things.
And like the power dynamic.
Yeah. Thanks for the emails. And remember, you can always email us in at notmyscenepod@gmail.com.
Woo! And we are very excited to tease that we have a very special 2-part episode coming up because Den and I are braving the throngs of Coachella to bring you an inside scoop on
the festival,
the people on the festival and the community that goes. So stay tuned for that. We're really excited, and it'll be releasing after we go. So coming soon.
Woo! See ya.
Woo! We'll see you soon. Bye.